James Carter, while battling the harsh realities of the streets, faced a monumental challenge that turned his life upside down. In this video, you'll see how a forgotten hero emerges amid society's brutal criticism, loneliness, and despair. Aren't you curious about what exactly that challenge was? How James fought through it to find hope again, and how his life was completely transformed. Every detail, every step, and every hint of lost memories invites you on a deep, emotional journey. Keep watching, because this story will truly move and inspire you. Hey, you! I noticed you still haven't subscribed to my channel, and that really makes me sad. If you subscribe now and turn on notifications, you'll be the first to know about more inspiring and impactful stories like this. So come on, don't forget to subscribe. James Carter, 62, a worn-out homeless man, slowly made his way along the narrow, abandoned streets under the pale gray light of a cold morning. His tattered jacket, ripped pants, and the deep lines etched on his face told the story of years filled with painful memories and lost dignity. Clutched in his hand was a nearly forgotten cardboard sign, once a cherished memento of his past, inscribed boldly with the words, "I used to be somebody." People on the street cast mocking glances and jeered, "Hey, used to be somebody, huh? Look at you now, loser." Despite these ruthless remarks, James continued his steps in silence, confronting the despair brought on by loneliness and ruin. The dusty, grimy surfaces of the narrow streets, stirred by a gentle breeze, only deepened the decay within him, while remnants of the courage and honor from his days in the military burned faintly in his heart like a small, undying spark of hope. James, to himself, "There was a time when I was a man, too." The cigarette smoke swirling in the cold air recalled the warmth of victories on battlefields, the sincerity of friendships forged shoulder to shoulder, and the traces of the honor he had lost. In his eyes, the spark of the fire he once possessed began to flicker back to life. Fatigue and loneliness enveloped him like a storm of agonizing pain, and with every step he took, he murmured sadly, "How long must I remain in this isolation, in this degradation and oblivion?" In his broken body, memories bearing the scars of the past and whispering forgotten tales of heroism slowly stirred back to life. Beneath the trembling, pale light of narrow street lamps, James sought once again the remnants of the courage and old pride he had lost. The yearning for revival within him kindled slowly like a new spark of hope. He drew a deep breath, with the hope of rediscovering the forgotten self hidden in his heart. Each step felt like a silent invitation for a hero to be reborn. Perhaps this old man lost in these dark streets would finally rediscover his light. Hot dog vendor, in a mocking tone, "There's no food here for someone like you. Get lost." This remark struck James's worn soul like a harsh blow. The loneliness and humiliation he had grown accustomed to over the years now gnawed at him with even sharper pain. As he closed his eyes and tried to take deep breaths, the old dreams of heroism in his heart, reminders of the warmth of victories on the battlefield, were all he could cling to. At that very moment, a sleek black SUV slowly pulled over at the side of the street. From its doors emerged a sharply dressed man in a tailored suit, exuding confidence and cool composure. The man's gaze reflected both the brutal reality of the world and, at the same time, rekindled in James a long-suppressed spark of hope. Well-dressed man, in an extraordinarily calm and clear voice, "Mr. Carter, please leave this street." This place isn't for you." James froze at the sound of the man's words, as the pale light from the street lamps fell upon his ragged, broken frame. The pain and loneliness within him, now mixed with the heavy burden of his past, were transforming into a yearning for escape, a desire to break free from this life of pain and humiliation. In that moment, James realized that he needed to move beyond this miserable, degraded existence and reclaim the lost honor, courage, and old self he once knew. His tired steps grew steadier with the burgeoning desire for revival, as if that harsh warning was a sign to leave behind the sorrows of the past and take the first step toward a new beginning. James now heard the faint voice of the hero he had lost deep within, carrying with it a quiet hope that perhaps beyond these dark streets he could rediscover his light. James Carter had decided it was time to step beyond the brutal world of the streets. As he walked, every hardship he'd endured brought new challenges, and his footsteps on the concrete mingled with dark flashbacks from battlefields past. The sacrifices of his comrades, the relentless memories of war, and the traces of the honor he had lost flashed before his eyes. The wind, as if whispering like an old friend, urged, "Rise, you are stronger." And James murmured softly, "This pain will not break me. Every blow will rebuild me." The cold loneliness of the streets, the mocking stares, and harsh words weighed heavily on the remnants of his former self. In the later hours of the night, even the neon lights couldn't illuminate the darkness inside him. The chill in the air only further froze his spirit. With each step, as he struggled to gather his worn-out body, he recalled the discipline and resilience of his military days, whispering to himself, "I must awaken the hero hidden within me once more." Every step echoed like a silent promise to rise again. Every street corner and flickering light had become a test, both physical and spiritual, for James. The cracks formed by the ruthless urban life deepened the scars of the past, yet at the same time they fanned the flames of revival within him. Despite his weariness, he was determined to collect even the smallest fragments of hope for the future. For every criticism, every blow, was not an obstacle on his path to rebirth but a driving force to make him stronger. Matthew, in a serious yet gentle tone, "Mr. Carter, please listen to me. We need to talk." James, surprised and uncertain, slowed his steps. After a deep, lingering gaze that lasted a few seconds, the man continued in a trembling yet clear voice, "Matthew, my name is Matthew Carter. Yes, I am your son." The words hung in the air. In that moment, a wave of long-suppressed love burst forth amid the years of loneliness, humiliation, and despair in James's heart. With tears welling in his eyes, he whispered softly, "James," whispering, "Matthew, really? My son?" Matthew, smiling gently, looked at his father's face, then extended his arms and embraced him tenderly. In that instant, all the pain of the past and the feeling of being forgotten gave way, if only for a moment, to an indescribable love. James felt the years of fatigue and disappointment transform into a revived hope through Matthew's warm embrace. The memories of his old military days, of honor, the courage he had lost, and the forgotten self, were rekindled by Matthew's presence. This unexpected encounter marked a turning point for James, the rebirth of a lost hero, opening the doors to a warm, loving world that belonged to his family. James, with a trembling voice, "There was a time when I truly was a hero. Now, I have nothing but a wounded soul." Matthew, seeing the sorrow and despair in his father's eyes, spoke in a soft yet determined tone. "Matthew, Dad, every wound heals in time. You need to let go of the marks of the past and look to the future with hope." At that moment, with a deep sigh, James decided to cast off the painful memories of the past and reawaken the lost courage within him. Every step he took, as he fought against the harsh reality of the cold streets, echoed like a silent promise reminiscent of the discipline and resilience from his days in the military. His mistakes, his pain, and the ruthless criticisms of society were no longer forces that would break him. Instead, they became the driving force that strengthened him on his journey to rebirth. After traversing those dark streets, James began to believe that a hopeful light for the future truly existed, because every wound was like a quiet invitation to rekindle the old strength within him. James Carter, cradled in Matthew's warm embrace, was taking his first steps toward a new life, leaving behind the bitter streets of endless hardship. With a tender look of genuine affection, Matthew said, "Dad, this house is now your home. The cold streets and harsh criticisms will be nothing but memories." After they stepped out of the luxurious SUV, the doors of the modern, invitingly arranged house swung wide open. In the spacious living room, soft light mingled with the family photographs adorning the walls and the carefully selected decor, whispering to James the long-forgotten warmth and peace he once knew. Sitting on comfortable chairs for the first time in clean, pressed clothes, he felt the discipline and the faint joy of honor from his military days reawaken in his worn-out body. Tears welling in his eyes as he listened to Matthew's heartfelt words, the years of loneliness, criticism, and lost hope were gradually replaced by the compassion, warmth, and serenity offered by his new home. Every detail felt like a silent invitation for him to rise again. The old hero, emerging from the dark streets, was finally experiencing the excitement of rediscovering his light. For James, this new beginning meant the reconstruction of the values, honor, and hope he had once lost. James, in an emotional whisper, "I'm still a hero. There's hope inside me, waiting to come alive again." The melodic notes of the piano filled every corner of the house, while the family photographs on the walls and the carefully chosen decor replaced old pain with memories filled with hope for the future. Matthew approached his father, gently touching his shoulder, and added, "Matthew, Dad, this moment is a symbol of your rebirth. The dark shadows of the past are now behind you." Amid the strains of the piano, James deeply felt the thrill of rediscovering the self he had lost for so long, of leaving behind the pain and loneliness of the streets in favor of a new future woven with love. In that moment, James Carter experienced the joy of emerging from the dark streets, reawakening the hero within, and stepping forward confidently into a future filled with hope. If you want to see more, join us tomorrow with another real-life story. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.